Hi, it's Charisma at Charisma's Corner again, and I just wanted to get another video started to kick off our stitching journey on our wool penny projects, since I have a whole line of wool penny projects that I have published so that I could share my different designs and everything with everybody. And I'm also hosting a retreat this October of 2019, so I just wanted to get everybody sort of up to date and get these stitches out there so that as we're working, if we need reference points or whatever, we can start doing that. I've got a few guild workshops lined up and I just want to share all of these stitches to go with those. So I'm going to do the cast on stitch. I just kind of learned this a couple weeks ago and I kind of fell in love with this. It's really a combination of a bullion knot and a drizzle stitch, and I'm just going to preface this by saying that I am a hoop lover. I have to embroider with my hoop. That's how I learned how to embroider, and I am connected to it. So I know some people who do the cast on stitch and the bullions and they do not like a hoop. I like a hoop, and I also like working from the top. So sometimes when I see people working from, or I like to work from the bottom of the quilt, sorry. So when I see people working from the top, my brain just cannot grasp it sometimes, and so I'm just going to show you my way of doing the cast on stitch because I got really confused when I was learning, and so I just feel like once I figured out it's just a combination between how I do a drizzle stitch and a bullion knot, I thought I would share it with you. And so here we go. I'm just going to show you two different ways to do them. So here I have some cast on stitches started, and so you just come up with your thread just like a bullion. I showed you how to do a bullion several videos ago, and you just come up where you left off. You know, it doesn't have to be exact, and then you just leave your needle in the thread. And then so with a traditional bullion, we're going to just wrap, right? But we're not going to do that. We're going to do what we do with a drizzle stitch. We're going to make a loop, cross over, use your finger, and wrap it around that needle. So make a loop, wrap it around, and so you're going to see like a knot that forms just like you do with a drizzle stitch. And you just want to make sure that you don't have any extra thread and that you tie it top, and then it stays like right on top of the last knot that you did, because sometimes you can see that they'll kind of get tangled up, which it doesn't really matter in the end. It'll just give it a little texture. That's what I tell myself when I make that mistake, but if I can try to control it, I do. So you can see that there's like a little line of the knots, so it creates this great texture. And sometimes, you know, it'll automatically kind of spiral around, so I'm sort of playing with that with some designs to make little caterpillars and different things like that. But I think on a traditional cast on stitch, they keep the line all very straight to make the stitches, and I'm wrapping this about, I think, 20 times. I lost count, but we have the general idea. So there's the line right there of things, and you can kind of see that this stitch has this sort of bumpy line on it. So then you just pull the needle through your wraps and you make your stitch. So here is when you can kind of, without getting my finger in the way, you can kind of control where that line of wraps goes. So just if you want it on top, just have it on top there, and then take your stay stitch back down. So I'm going to go through that again because it's a little much. So we're going to go come up, take our stitch, and I like to come up here rather than here because I have to put my needle in, so I want to work away from this just to cause less congestion. So I'm going to go down here now and put my needle up over here so that when I'm wrapping, I don't have all of that congestion. And with a drizzle stitch, you know, we take the thread out of the eye of the needle, we wrap it just like this, and then we put the needle or the thread back through the needle when we're done wrapping, and we pull it through, but we don't take a stitch or anchor it down. So this is just, you know, like a drizzle stitch, except for we're anchoring this down and taking a stitch. Oh, that's Elvis, my dog. I just get used to his barking and loud ways. Sorry about that. So I'll try to repeat that information, is that we don't take, and that's my other dog snoring, is not nice. Next time we're going to do a video without them. But it's just like a bullion knot in the fact that we take the stitch and anchor it down. And so there we have another one right there, and we have the line of knots all lined up really pretty. So I'm just gonna pull the thread through, kind of see where that line of knots is landing, adjust accordingly so that they're all on top, and take my stay stitch. So there we have that little flower, and I'm just going to show you, because just like a bullion knot, you can make flower petals, or, you know, like here when I was kind of experimenting, some of my loops were straight, some of them weren't. I kind of wanted to make this really textured inside of this flower, and so I did a bunch of different types of lengths of stitches for that, and wrapped them different wraps, numbers of wraps, to play with kind of the length of the stitch that I like. So here's the thing, is that I was practicing this and I kind of got the feel for how the cast on stitch works, and nobody's ever going to know that. This is going to be a published pattern later, but I was practicing the stitch there. There's no reason why I should rip those out or, you know, get a separate piece of fabric, because it's all very controlled and it's just adding a lot of texture. So don't feel like you need to rip out something if it's not perfect, because that's how we learn. That's how I started this whole thing anyways, is that I just started a wool penny project to practice stitches because I fell in love with the art of it, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that I love that, and that we all have imperfections. And so here's the second one that I wanted to do, and you can see these are all very lined up perfectly, but the more you wrap, the smaller the stitch, and the more you wrap, you can make like a flower petal sort of effect. So I've just taken this very small stitch, doing it the same way as we did with all the others, but then we're going to do the knot, and we're going to do it like 20 times, and it's the same amount of wraps and everything that we did on the last one, but the stitch was probably about 3 times as large, and so the wrapped stitch is elongated and it kind of lays flat. But if you do this with a shorter stitch and the same amount of wraps, you get this cute little petal that just kind of raises up. And if I did even more, it would, you know, cause a bigger petal effect. So same as the bullion knot, it's just not as smooth. It has this little ruffle that just adds a lot of cute texture and pizzazz, dimension, everything to the piece. And again, this is a variegated thread. This is like a pearl cotton, and so it graduates very slowly from a dark pink to a white, or probably like a medium pink to a white. So I didn't really count how many stitches that was, but I'm going to get the same sort of effect here. So I'm just going to pull that through, and I'm just going to make sure that that little hump is at the top here, and see how it just makes that cute little lifted up petal there. So cute. So So that is the cast on stitch. I'm going to release a few more videos with some other stitches that I've learned and that I want to share with you, and how I'm incorporating them into my wool penny project. So again, if you have any questions, just contact me at charismascorner.com. I'm also Charisma Horton on Facebook and Instagram. And again, if you are interested in any of the patterns, you can visit my Etsy shop or charismascorner.com. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.